was the one that left Mike. You will not believe it. We can now officially say that Natalie was the one that actually ended her marriage with Mike. And, oh my God, Natalie got exposed by Mike's Uncle Beau and Mike's neighbor Tamra because, Uncle Beau and Tamra actually went out and did an exclusive interview with a podcast called Kiki and Kibitz. And in that interview, they freaking said everything. Unbelievable stuff. You guys will not freaking believe this. So let's not waste any time. Before we get into this, I do have to give credit where credit is due. Like I said, they went on this podcast called the Kiki and Kibitz podcast. It is on Patreon. I'm going to put a link above or below this interview to their Patreon account. Sign up for it. It's only $2. It was like a 40-minute interview, and a lot of stuff was said. But here's the general gist of kind of what went down. Like I just said, we can now confirm, thanks to Tamra on this interview, that yes, Natalie was the one that actually did leave Mike. This is what happened. They were fighting like crazy. Apparently on Christmas Eve, Natalie packed up her stuff and said, "Hey Mike, I'm going to go to the casino with your neighbor Tamra to, I don't know, Christmas Eve activities and whatnot." And so Mike just said, "Okay, Natalie, see ya, goodbye." Natalie went out the door, and then later that night, Tamra called Mike and said, "Hey Mike, I'm at your aunt's house, I believe, and I ran out of gas. Do you mind grabbing some gas and then bring it over to me?" And Mike was like, "Wait, what? I thought you were with Natalie at the casino." But no. Come to find out, Natalie was actually on her way to Seattle. Apparently, Mike must have reached out to her. He connected the dots, and then he ended up realizing, holy crap, she's leaving me. She's gone to Seattle, and that is that. So now we finally have a timeline of when their relationship completely ended. But let's go back a little bit because I want to explain everything that went down. Then we can talk about the details and whatnot. So that's the first thing that happened. Natalie was the one that left Mike. He didn't leave her. She left him. And the worst thing about it, honestly, and this just goes to show how much I can't stand Natalie, is you're really that immature. You're married to this guy and you're going to lie. Like, if you want to leave him, tell him to his face that I'm going to leave you. I'm going to go to Seattle, and be honest. Don't make up some stupid story that you're going to go to, the casino with Tamra. That's the dumbest thing. That is the most immature. That's the only word I can use for that, is just freaking immature and ridiculous. So that's what she did. She left. Apparently Mike was devastated. I guess even Tamra was super upset, but I guess Uncle Beau was ecstatic because he absolutely could not stand Natalie. But Uncle Beau and Tamra, oh, they went on because they also said that Natalie was a complete freaking slob. Now, of course, we have to kind of remember that Tamra is obviously best friends with Mike, and Uncle Beau clearly is best friends with Mike, so we're probably going to be hearing the worst of Natalie. But apparently she never made dinner. She was a god-awful cook, which is kind of mean, but she was a horrible cook. She never made anything, and she would never pick up after herself. She was a complete slob. Their bedroom was a complete disgusting pit, and Mike, after he'd come home from work every single day, would have to, go do his work, then come home, and then clean up after Natalie, apparently. Now, like I said earlier, am I shocked? Do I believe it? I think it could definitely be true. I don't want to say for sure because it's coming from people that are like, Mike's biggest fans. But still, Tamra seemed to definitely love Natalie. I think they were definitely pretty good friends. So if Tamra said it, which she did, there's definitely probably some truth to it. I just find it also funny though, because Natalie literally on 90 Day Fiancé was doing the dishes. She was trying to make dinner. She was trying to do a bunch of stuff. At least she was trying to act like she was. But I guess in reality, that was not the case. And they were just acting like she would just mope around all day and basically do nothing. Uncle Beau literally cannot stand her, absolutely hates her. He was just going off and off and off, and even kind of making weird comments like he was going to do something like, not good. Like, it was like, what is he? It was weird because he was making the comments about himself, and I was like, what is wrong with you, Uncle Beau? But then Tamra, she was just being pretty honest. She was telling it like it is. Apparently Mike's mom, Trish, actually called Tamra, which we knew, and Uncle Beau to, object at their wedding. Both said no, but it's like, Tamra was being pretty honest, I feel like, and she was just telling it like it is. I don't think she was lying whatsoever, and she just said, listen, they had an awful relationship. This is what happened. She ended up leaving him on, Christmas Eve, and that was that. And she even admitted, she said that she sobbed when Natalie left. However, now I think starting to kind of open her eyes that, wow, Natalie, she is freaking crazy. So that's the truth. Here's some backstory. The interesting part is we did get to see a little bit of a sneak peek on the new episode of 90 Day Fiancé where Mike and Natalie are with Trish, Mike's mom, in Oklahoma for Thanksgiving. Here's the interesting part though, guys. That was Thanksgiving. Now we can finally confirm, thanks to Tamra, that Natalie did leave Mike on Christmas Eve. So we're talking like, November 24th or whatever to December 24th. Like it was 1 month to the day, and we got to see in the sneak peek after Thanksgiving, Mike and Natalie immediately left. Supposedly, Mike's mom called Natalie a fish hook, add an ER, delete the hook. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, I think we're all on the same page. Yeah, so supposedly Mike's mom, Trish, called Natalie that. Do I believe it? Probably not. I think Mike's mom, Trish, is incredibly passive-aggressive and rude, and I think she tries to act like she's Miss Nice and but I think she is rude, and she knows what she's doing. I don't think she's that rude, though. I think she's a complete idiot, and she's a know-it-all, and she's a control freak, and she's annoying. But I don't think she's that out, rudely just out there like that. I think she's rude, but she kind of keeps it to herself, if you know what if that makes any sense. So, do I think that was true? No, I don't. I just think she was making little backhanded comments the entire time Natalie was in Oklahoma about her job and what she should do and stuff around the house and Natalie helping out and things of that nature. And Natalie is she just sticks her ground and she's not going to let anyone, literally anyone, tell her what to do. And so she got offended. And after Thanksgiving, after Natalie thought that, Trish called her that word, after Thanksgiving, she literally wouldn't talk to her. And that's when I was kind of like, you know what, Natalie? I'm all about being a bigger person. Like, I don't care if someone makes fun of me, if someone's rude to me. In my experience, it's good. You don't have to be best friends with Trish, but if you're staying at Trish's house, just be the bigger person. Like, so Natalie was going to go to the airport with Mike in a couple of hours. It wasn't like days or anything. It was later that day they were going to go to the airport. And so Trish went up to Natalie and said, "Hey, Natalie, I make these scarves, and which one do you want?" And of course, Trish, she's rough around the edges. She's not very nice or sweet or anything. But she said, what scarf do you want? And Natalie looked at her, and she wouldn't talk, and she finally said, "Listen, Trish, I talked to my mom. I told her what you said about me, and my mom said, do not ever talk to Trish ever again." And so Natalie walked out the door. She sat in the car and said, "I'm going to wait in this car until we go to the airport." And Mike and Trish were just like, what happened? So she kept going back to the word that supposedly Trish called her. But even beyond that, she was mad about Trish, trying to get her to get a different job. She was mad about Trish trying to get her to have kids. It was every little thing. And I just think Natalie is incredibly, childish. She's really immature. I do think that Trish is not nice, and I think she's very rough around the edges, and I think she has a very sarcastic, bizarre personality. But I think if Natalie would have kind of warmed up to her, they could have been fine eventually. But Natalie just said, "Listen, you didn't want me and Mike to get married. It offended me." And she was crying and screaming and upset, and she just said, "I'm not going to talk to you." And Trish, the entire time, literally was trying to tell her, "What did I say? What did I say? What did I say?" Mike was saying, "What did she say?" And Natalie would not say it. Finally, Mike and, his mom, Trish, just closed the door. Trish literally said to Mike, "Listen, Mike, give her $5,000, get her a ticket back to Ukraine, and end this freaking thing." And, that's not what happens, because we do not know that Natalie's in Florida. So they do end their marriage, but Natalie ends up staying in America, which is kind of just like, and it kind of goes to show that if she really just wanted to come to America for Mike, but now that they're actually done with their relationship, okay, it's like she would go back to Ukraine, right? But no, wrong. So it kind of goes to show that she just used Mike to come to America. But either way, Trish was saying that. Finally, Trish and Mike went back inside, and then when they ended up actually going to the airport however long after, that is when it was every little second, you guys. It was so awkward. Trish was asking them, "Hey, what airline are you guys? What is this? What is that?" And Natalie, she wouldn't open her mouth. Then they get into the airport. Trish ends up walking them to their gate, which I was like, how did she... I feel like she got through security. It made no sense, but either way, she's like, she's talking to them. Natalie, she purposefully had to stand like 20 feet behind them. It was just stupid. It was childish. If Natalie was going to be the bigger person, if she was mature, she would just keep her head up high, not ignore Trish, but kind of keep her distance, but still be, hey, we're this airline, we're that airline. You don't... Ignoring someone, in my opinion, is probably the most childish thing you can actually do. It's like, be the bigger person, Natalie. Stand up and just hold your ground and just be the bigger person. It's the only thing I can say. So it's like, she looked like a complete fool, a complete idiot by just completely ignoring everyone. And then it's like they were going on like the escalator thing, and then of course she had to let Mike and Mike's mom Trish go up, and then all of a sudden, then she got on. It was like, this is just so embarrassing, so stupid. Natalie, you look like a complete freaking idiot. So that went down. That was at the end of November, and we now know around December 24th, apparently on the date, Christmas Eve, that their marriage was done, and that was it. Now he left him, and she went to Seattle, and then I believe she ended up going from Seattle to Florida. So I don't know where their marriage stands. I don't know if they're in the process of getting a divorce. I have no idea what's going on. They're definitely not together in present day, because we do know that Natalie does go on 90 Day Fiancé Single Life Season 2, so she is definitely single, but pretty crazy, guys. Only thing I can say right now is just Natalie is childless, and I know you guys are probably going to come after me and say that Trish is just as bad. Trish is bad. Trish is rude. Trish is not nice, but Trish If I was Natalie, I would just say, okay, Trish is a control freak. She's an idiot. I'm gonna let her live her life. I'm in Oklahoma for a few days. I'm just gonna do my thing. And then that's it. And then she was also mad that Mike was picking her side. The only thing I have to say about that is, if I was Natalie, and if I was offended that supposedly Trish called her this word, and supposedly Trish did this and did that and all this crap, the only thing she really did do is she objected at Mike and Natalie getting married. Everything else is kind of just hearsay, because we never heard anything else besides the little stuff of, like, you know, her making these backhanded comments about, you know, the kids and the job and all that stuff. Everything else is kind of just hearsay. So it's like, if I was Natalie, I would sit down and say, listen, you know, objecting of our wedding, that hurt my feelings. You not wanting me around, that hurts my feelings. You and the job hurts my feelings. And then maybe they could talk out their differences. But Natalie, she has to be immature. So that's why I'm going back to my point route. Only thing I can say right now is Natalie is freaking immature. I hate to use the word she's crazy, but y'all, it's like, oh, I hate to say it, guys, but Natalie is pretty freaking crazy. I get why she's mad at Trish, but I'm also kind of like, dude, you know, you're freaking nuts. But anyway, y'all, I'm sorry for the little bit of a rant. I'm really annoyed with Natalie. I can't stand it much longer. And thank God we do now know that they have 1 month left on 90 Day Fiancé, and then they're gonna be done. They're gonna go their separate ways, and thank the freaking Lord. So guys, 90 Day Fiancé, Mike and Natalie, and now Trish, what a mess. What a disaster of a couple. They never should have gotten married. And the funny thing is, I was saying it before they got married, they should not get married. And the funniest part is Trish, who everyone was kind of getting mad at, but it's like, Trish did call it. Do not get married. And now we're looking at it in present day hindsight, it's like, oh my God, they never should have gotten married. Well, y'all, 90 Day Fiancé, please hit that like button, hit the comments below, hit the subscribe, follow, share button, and y'all better stay tuned for many more videos.